I'm Scott Weatherly. Welcome to 20th Century Geek. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of 20th Century Geek. And this is a bonus feature, if you will. A full episode, don't get me wrong, a full episode, but a bonus feature. You've had your commentary on Child's Play in the last episode, where I was joined by Kim. So, I actually had the opportunity to interview the great Ed Gale recently to discuss Child's Play, Howard the Duck, Spaceballs. He was in Spaceballs, and all the things that sort of go on behind the scenes in the Hollywood industry. So sit back, enjoy my conversation with Ed Gale, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so I know you're a busy man, so we'll get stuck straight in. So first off, thank you very much for taking the time out to speak to me.
Thank you for remembering me.
It's all right. So I read your bio. Actually, I knew I was doing the research on Howard the Duck to start off with, and I started sort of like, it built from there when I started to learn about you. But the thing I learned is you left school. Well, 2 years after you left school, you went to California to become an actor. So can you tell me about that? Had you been doing acting at school, or was it just something you always wanted to do?
No, it's something I'd always wanted to do, and I think about 8 years of age, I said I'm going to California to become an actor, and people say, okay, that's cool. Not that they, that it wasn't negative. They weren't, ill supporting me, but they weren't supporting me,
Yeah. They would nod and agree, and that was it, really.
Right, pat you on the head. That's nice.
Yes. Yeah.
After college,
Yeah.
And I met a friend of a friend who would drive RVs, motorhomes, across the country to be delivered. Because unlike cars, you don't haul 20 at a time,
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, I heard you wanting to go to California. He says, I go once or twice a month. I'd be more than happy to give you a ride out there.
Good to have good friends.
Sorry?
Good to have friends, in
yes. It was being just like I said, my quote that being a success in Hollywood is 1% looks, 2% talent, and 97% luck.
Yeah.
And I happened to be in at the right place at the right time. And same as when I got my very first audition. I'd done no acting at all. And then 2 years later, I got an audition call. Again, right place, right time.
Mm-hmm. Did you have an agent then at this point?
Oh, no.
No.
If you've never, worked in the business, you're hard pressed to get an agent.
It's a bit like over here. There's we do things like job placements and stuff, and then it's sort of you can't get a job placement without experience, but you can't get experience without a job placement. You can get caught in quite a vicious cycle.
Right. Over here we call it catch-22.
Yeah.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
And you can't get an agent unless you were, famous, and if you're famous, you don't need an agent.
Yeah.
But I managed to, I had a friend who she said, quote unquote, that she was my manager. Right. And in all actuality, she was. But she wasn't my theatrical manager. She was my manager at work.
Okay.
And so she didn't lie.
Yeah.
And once she took the call, because I freaked, I handed her the phone. I go, they want me for an audition at Universal Studios. And I handed her the phone, and then she hung up the phone and went to the library. We didn't have the internet and all of that. So she ran to the library, got as many books on managing an agent and acting, and she was learning right along. As I was learning to be an actor, she was learning to be a manager.
Wow. Getting thrown in the deep end.
So, like everything in Hollywood, it was fake.
Yeah. That's it. Fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
So that first role in that first audition at Universal, so that was Howard the Duck, was it?
Yes, I tell everybody that Howard was my very first anything. It was my first audition, my first rejection, my first callback, and then, of course, my first job, my first acting role. So I did it all in just a couple of months. I was auditioned, I was screen tested, I was rejected, I was called back, I was reconsidered, rejected again, and, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And eventually landed the role.
Out of curiosity, so how did the screen test work, considering that you were in a suit, like the duck suit for the film?
No, they didn't even begin making the suit until after they cast, because they couldn't. So they just wanted to know how physical I was and I could be.
Yeah.
And so they were auditioning all auditions are what I call flavored or themed. They're all, white people or black people or Latin or tall or short or male or female or Asian. And you can speak with a dialect, or you look like Harry Potter, whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody, so everybody in the room is the same. When you think you're one of a kind, trust me, you're not.
That's it. No one's a unique snowflake.
Not until you get. You are until you get to Hollywood and they say we're looking for somebody over 6'6".
Yeah.
And you think, wow, there's only 2 of us, and you get there and there's 400.
Yeah.
So anyway, we did the. I could run, I could jump, I could tumble. I could do the trampoline, blah, blah, blah. I also have to understand I was 22 at that time.
Yeah.
21-ish. 21 when I did all those auditioning. And they said they were looking for someone 2'10". I apologize for your audience. I don't know metrics, so maybe you can interject.
No, I'm old enough to know exactly. I work in the same.
Okay. They were looking from 2 feet 10 inches tall to 3 feet tall, and of course I'm 3'4". So they said they loved me. I did great. I'm gonna go far. Blah blah blah. You're a star, but you're not right for us. You're too tall. And wow, of all the times to ever be rejected,
yeah,
for being too tall, today is not the day.
Yeah.
And so I just went home and game over.
Yeah.
Now I gotta figure out how to do this acting stuff. And again, no one knows me, so I'm not gonna get an agent because I auditioned. That nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Then they called me back and they said they moved the height to 3 foot to 3'2". And I said, but I'm 3'4". And they said, that's fine, just come on in. Okay, that was great. Nope, you're too tall. And then they wondered if I would consider being a stunt double or an understudy.
Yeah.
If the person couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I'm brand new. I go, yeah, I'll do anything.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a stunt duck would do.
Yeah.
I don't know what an understudy is. I've never done theater, and so I took the role, and they hired I believe a 12-year-old boy who was probably my size, maybe an inch shorter.
Uh-huh.
And being 12 years old, he could only work, I believe, 4 hours a day at that time. This is 1985.
Yeah.
I believe he could only work 4 hours, 1 hour of which had to be meal time, and 1 hour had to be 2 hours had to be school.
Wow.
So he only got him for an hour anyway.
Yeah.
And there could be no fire around him, no explosions. He couldn't be off the ground more than 1 or 2 feet. I mean, it's a very
some serious limitations on filming then.
Yes, because there's been so many accidents injuring children and things. And, eventually it was becoming cost prohibitive. And the editors said they can't match, him and I. We walk very differently. And if you're familiar with Little People, there's really no two alike.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get someone your size and you could fit their clothing.
Of course, yeah.
But in my world, you wouldn't get any two alike.
Right, okay.
And so the editor was having a hard time because he walked like a 12-year-old. And I walked like a 20-year-old, 2-year-old, 22-year-old.
Yeah.
And I held a cigar like a man. He held it like a bumbling kid trying to
pretend to be a man.
Smoking for the first time out behind the barn, And I smoked, but back then a pack a day. I haven't smoked in over 10 years, but so a lot of the stuff came easy and came natural.
Yeah.
Slapping a girl on the butt, saying, "Hey, chick, what's up?" And a little boy is like, "Why would I want to do that? And where's this motivation?"
Yeah.
And, acting, you have to draw motivation from the past.
Yeah, from your experiences and that, yeah.
And eventually I took over the role, and we shot everything, plus kept shooting the current stuff. And a 10-week shoot schedule turned into 10 months.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that kind of worked out for me.
Yeah, keeps you in a job.
I bought a house.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So was it a good set then to be on? I mean, as a first timer, were you able to learn a lot? Were they willing to support you through it, or was it like in the deep end and you had to sink or swim?
Oh, it was deep end.
Right.
They didn't hold my hand at all. And I mean, some of them did, of course. Actually, the people at Lucasfilm who made the costume helped me a lot. And Tim Rose did the voice for the filming. Then Chip Zien did the professional voiceover, But Tim was very much, helped me, and a few other people. And and Leah Thompson was a total doll. She helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Jones was a tremendous help, and in fact, he came to my home for Thanksgiving that year because nobody, no sense in going home for the holidays.
No.
When you have to work the day before and the day after.
Yeah.
So we worked. I mean, it was a grueling schedule. Holidays were 1 day off, barely.
Yeah.
And most of the times people fly out of the country or out of the state, for holidays.
Yeah.
But actors don't, you take work when you can get it.
So it sounds like it was a good, it's only threw you in the deep end, but your cast and, you seem to be close enough they were supporting you through it. There's quite a lot of special effects and some real stunts in the film. So is it you involved in all those stunts then? Like on the, there's Tim Robbins and that on the glider plane, and like you said, there's a lot of tumbling around and stuff, so...
I did 90%. I did. Whenever you saw the plane in its 100%, the whole plane flying in the distance, it was not me.
Right.
I was too scared. They took me up one time, and I said, "Hell no, no, no." And anytime you saw Tim and Howard conversing close up, you couldn't see the entire plane.
Mm-hmm.
It was hooked to a rig, and we were on the ground, of course.
Mm.
And probably the most dangerous thing I did on the plane would be when they landed on the back of the big rig truck.
Right. Yeah.
And I was on a crane, so they could land on the truck. There's no room for error.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
And I had a few stunt doubles, Debbie Carrington, Marguerite Fernandez, and oh God, I forgot his name. I just had it on my tongue. And they did a lot of the stunts for me.
Right. Okay. So regarding the stunts, and also the people, the other stunt doubles. I've got the film on Blu-ray, and it polishes up really well in that. What was the visibility like in the suit?
Basically zero.
Yeah.
The eyes would fog up just like your glasses do, in a steam room. And the only time I could see is if the mouth was open.
Okay.
And so the mouth was closed a lot because it wouldn't make sense for his mouth to be hanging open. So I came up with a way to rehearse backwards. I would count my steps backwards and then do it forward. And it's to be able to hit my mark.
Yeah.
And everybody has an ability that they were born with. And people are like, how do you do that? And you don't know. You just always knew, whether it was electronics or car engines. They're just people who were born with, or, autistic, who can draw, who can paint.
Yeah.
Mine was, I always had a third eye. I always had a grip on my surroundings. And so they would say, I need you to hit this mark right here. And they would open the mouth. I would look and see his foot on the ground. And, you call action, and I could basically hit that mark.
Wow.
I always had an idea of what was going on around me. Now you change that scenario, and then there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And they would change that scenario all the time.
Right.
After rehearsal, we'd go to, sit down and rest because they could never take me out of the suit during the day, so I was in that suit up to 17 hours a day.
Jeez, 17 hours.
And up to a lot of mostly 10, 12-hour days.
Yeah.
But we've done some 17s. And so I go sit back in a chair, and of course I couldn't sit in a conventional chair because I had the duck butt.
Yeah.
So they had to fabricate a leaning board that I could lean up against with a hole in the back, so I didn't crush the butt, because the computer, the brains were in the butt.
Oh, all right, yeah, the animatronics and
then
stuff.
the cables ran up the back to the motors in the eyes, eyelids, eyebrows, mouth, lips. I had like 19 different motors in my head. So that's a lot of puppeteers.
Yeah.
And then after we did all the rehearsing, the camera people would say everything is fine, but we need to move this table. And there's a shadow.
Right.
No problem. They move the table. They don't tell the actors because the actors have eyes.
Yeah.
And they see it. I don't.
No.
So on action, I run into the table. And they're like, didn't you see the table? I said, no. Are you new? We've been doing this for weeks. I can't see. And I've done and they look like jokes. I walk over and I go to sit down on the chair, and the chair's not there. And I fall down. It looked like a Jerry Lewis movie.
Yeah.
So another reason why it took so long to do the film was the reshooting and the takes and the retakes, and it was just it was an undertaking, quite an undertaking that you almost think they bit off more than they could chew.
Well, that's what I was going to
And
say. Actually, it seems for the time, for the technology and everything available at the time, it seems ambitious to have a full, like almost like I'd say a full bodysuit with a working face and everything.
well,
It's
it's like George Lucas. The technology doesn't exist, and he builds it.
yeah, totally, yeah.
I mean, there was no like Star Wars. I need a way to make whatever person disappear and reappear.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have that technology. Well, he says build it.
Yeah. Well, I can
And
imagine that the like the Ewok suits are probably sort of like a precursor to the Howard the Duck suit. It's an evolution. That's probably the starting point, and it's built up from there. So
I think the where they got lucky is the heads came off very easy.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a lot of facial, contortions. It was more of a Muppet, you know what I mean? They didn't have to be so specific. And E.T. the same way.
Yeah.
R2D2. You didn't, and C3PO. Horrible costumes to wear, beautiful costumes to watch.
Yes, I can imagine.
But no facial. Well, Howard the Duck had to look as close to human as possible. So I had all of the puppeteers.
Yeah.
Puppeteers to operate my eyes, and then when you break the eyes down, there's eyeballs, eyelids, eyebrows.
It really is a feat. I mean, technologically, it's amazing.
Yes. Just, look at the human face one day, and pick out a show, especially a talk show, where it's easier, or a monologue.
Yeah.
And just look how many muscles are in the human face that move. And it all has to be coordinated at the same time.
Yeah.
If there's an explosion and the person, it's hard to explain on a radio show, but if you have to gasp in surprise, you have to stop, inhale, eyes wide open, shoulders go up. So I have to know what the puppeteers are doing, and they have to guess what I'm going to do. And we have to do it all at the same time. There's your retakes and retakes.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. Having watched the film recently, it's sort of you have to have worked as a. Did you get on well with the puppeteers? I get to know them because you must have worked as a team to be able to, like you say, to synchronise that they're puppeteering the suit with you reacting in it to get the physicality and stuff.
Oh, there's an uncanny, connection with Tim Rose and I. I wish you could talk with him. He's over there with you. He's on the other side of the pond.
I know. I'll tell you, if you let him know, I'll definitely reach out to him. It'd be amazing to speak to him.
Yeah, I'll try to email him. He reached out to me at an autograph convention over there, and then somebody on Facebook, etc., etc. The world is so much smaller now.
It is.
And but it was again one of those uncanny events where if I was standing there by myself doing nothing, there was always a camera on me 24/7, so the puppeteers could see. Make sure nothing rips, nothing goes bad. They're constantly testing the motors. An airplane flies over and my whole face goes out of control. A walkie-talkie nearby and
the radio signals.
My eyes twitch.
Yeah.
But I could be sitting there talking to somebody, just offset.
Uh-huh.
And Tim has no idea what's going on. But he's doing my voice. He's doing the voice, and he's matching what I'm doing just automatically.
It becomes that sort of the synchronicity. It becomes automatic.
Yeah, and it's like, husband and wives. They finish their own sentences.
Yeah.
And he did. He would, or I would. I would be walking to the set, and maybe I'd trip, and he would say, "Shit, what was that? Move that." And I would then I would, once he said that, I would point toward it.
Yeah.
Said, that, move, get it out of here. We just became one, and it was scary.
Amazing. I mean, it sounds like a good. I mean, considering this, it was your first on-set experience, so it sounds like it went really well. Because obviously you carried on. It didn't, it didn't kill your interest in it at all. Because if I wanted to quickly move on then to, you were in the Howard the Duck suit between 10, 17 hours a day. Moving on to another film where you were in a suit. In fact, two films I want to mention. You're also one of my favourite horror characters. You're Chucky.
Ah, that was my third film.
Yeah.
We sandwiched Spaceballs in the middle with Mel Brooks, and then we did Child's Play with Tom Holland.
Yeah. So how did you get involved with that?
Ironically, it's a small business, and it seems like a big business, but there's hundreds of thousands of actors out there trying, and there's only 25 actually working.
Yeah.
And I was blessed to be an outsider at first, and the first assistant director went from Howard the Duck to Spaceballs, and he introduced me to Mel Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
And and Mel hired me on the spot, and I didn't even know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
And Danny introduced me to him, and Danny is 6'6" or 7, a Swedish guy.
Yeah.
And here I am, 3'4", and
yeah.
Mel was like, "How the hell did you meet?" And he said, "Oh, my last movie, Howard the Duck, he played Howard." And Mel Brooks said, "Oh my God, anybody who can do that fucking movie can be in my movie any day. Welcome aboard." And I go, "Your movie? What movie?" In my head,
yeah.
I'm like, "What movie are you doing? Why? Hello? I just came here to go to lunch with Danny, And then I believe they went on, and then the unit producer of Howard and Spaceballs went on to do Child's Play, and and people had recommended me to Tom Holland, and they said that I did Howard the Duck, and Tom Holland looked at it at a technical aspect, who didn't care about the box office, didn't care about anything like the politics.
He
was like, he's like, that's a physical job. He did a physical, demanding job in a costume. I want him.
So you're getting the reputation then. You'll get a reputation for being able to do the grueling work then.
Right. So I was the one that you could throw around, and I could do the stunts. You wouldn't have to. I was over 18. I didn't have to have my mommy there.
Yeah.
I didn't have to have a school teacher. I didn't have to have a guardian. I didn't have to have a stunt double, which, hell, it was hard to find me. How would you find another one?
Yeah.
To do my doubling. And it was bad enough that Chucky was, 30% smaller than me.
Yeah.
So we had to play a lot with that problem,
So what were the key stunts? Because you did the stunts and things. So what were the key things in Child's Play then? What stands out to you as the key scenes or the key stunts you did for that film?
The full body burn in the fireplace.
Yes.
The full body burn across the living room. The full body burn over the sofa.
Yeah.
The puppet couldn't walk. So anytime you see Chucky full body,
yeah,
it was mostly me walking, jumping, running, falling.
Right.
I walked out of the elevator.
So,
I walked into the insane asylum. Opened the boy's door, walked in his room, jumped up on his bed, and pulled the covers back, and he was gone.
Right. Okay. So is that you? At the end, you say about the burn. So the fully burnt Chucky at the end. Is that you as well?
Most of the time, but you also have to remember, I'm never near any humans.
Right. Okay. To keep the
because
perspective.
I'm the. If you watch the movie,
Yeah.
um, Chucky would come up to the little boy's waist.
Yeah.
Ed Gale is exactly the same height as the little boy.
Right. Okay.
That's not going to work, and he sure couldn't carry my fat butt,
Yeah.
being the same height.
Yeah.
And it would constantly change. Chucky would be getting taller, shorter, taller, shorter.
Yeah.
So what they did, Tom Holland devised a way to make duplicate sets, and they would make the kitchen for the family, and they would make the kitchen for me 33% bigger. So the average kitchen counter comes up to your waist. If you were in my set, it would come up to your neck.
Right. Okay. So they made like a scale, like a scaled size of it. They're not upscaling it.
Yes, it all had to be proportioned.
Okay. So were you ever on set with like the cast? And I mean, obviously you were there when they were burning and that sort of thing. So, because I remember.
Was I ever one? Sorry, say again.
Were you ever on set then with the cast? I forget his name now. The lad who plays Andy Barclay.
I was on set every day.
Right.
Because I had to watch what the puppet was doing, and what the kids were doing, and what the adults were saying. So I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
So I didn't just, go in there one day and shoot all those scenes.
No.
I shoot right along everybody else. And also, when they wanted the puppet to do something very exacting and very specific, a lot of times the puppet couldn't do it.
Right.
And Tom is running into a budgetary problem. We're running out of time. And he said, just screw this. Get Ed, put him in the suit, shoot it 2 seconds, we're done.
Yes.
And that's like putting the key in a keyhole.
Yeah.
That's like a monkey screwing a football. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so they would try, for 3 or 4 or 5 hours. They would give up. I would do it one shot, turn the key, done. We're out of there.
Yeah.
And so they could use me. So although they credited me as stunt double,
yeah,
that was basically the producer's way of trying to cut me out of my full residuals.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because I was looking at the cast, and like I say, it obviously has Brad Dourif down as sort of like Charles Lee Ray / Chucky, and it's his voice. And
yes.
IMDb, it has you under stunts, but which I thought was unusual.
Again, that was their way of trying not to pay me full residuals, but it didn't work because the contract they gave me said principal actor.
Right.
So they didn't put stunt double on the contract. And so they did it in the credits. You can't make them change 12,000 copies. You can't.
Yeah.
They issue an apology, and on record, I played Chucky. On paper, on paper I played Chucky. On the film, I was just a mere stunt double. So that was a little derogative and caused a little bit of tension. And Charles Play 2 caused even more tension, so I refused to do number 3, and I went on and did some other films and stuff.
Okay. Just going back to Chucky, one last thing. I heard a story, and I don't want to see if it's true actually, that when I've got his name here now, Alex Vincent, and the guy who played Andy Barclay, obviously he was very young when he did it. Is it true that they introduced you and the director, Tom Holland, was it like his 2-year-old or 3-year-old niece or something at one point run across, and they introduced him so he wouldn't be scared about being around Chucky? Is that true, or was he okay?
Oh yeah, Alex's sister.
Yes, that's right.
Ashley.
Yes.
Ashley, it was, introduced me to her as a person.
Yeah.
And then introduced Chucky. And she was so tiny, she actually fit the puppet's clothing.
Right.
And as homage or something. I don't know the word. I wasn't there then. I had just gone home, and it would be too expensive to have for me to come back.
Yeah.
And to get the costume back on and do that. They threw her in the costume, and she did the one quick running scene.
Yes.
Running behind Aunt Maggie in the living room when she thought she heard something, and then she walked out of the kitchen, and that led to that whole scenario. But she did one quick scene.
Yeah.
And it was cute. I don't think she was I'm not sure if they even were allowed to credit her because of her age. I think she was 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But it was cute, so Alex got to have his sister in the movie too, you know.
Excellent. Yeah, and I was going to say, a big fan of the Child's Play films. But
I was up until, then they it was a political power play, and the script started going downhill, and the movies just got worse and worse, and then, I just stopped doing them. I did 1, 2, and then I did The Bride, and
right.
That was it. The Seed of Chucky, the script was horrible. I wouldn't even consider it.
I've got to admit, it's funny you said it, because the first one and the second one, I really like the first two. The third one is a little iffy.
Well, the third one, they didn't have me, so they couldn't move Chucky. They had to move the camera.
It feels a lot more static in the film. It does feel a lot, Bride of Chucky, actually, I really enjoy. And I haven't...
Well, The Bride, they had to beg me, and I kept saying no, and they paid me more money than any actor should have been allowed. And I did it, and they used the word midget again, like they did in the second one, which is the reason I didn't do the third.
Right.
And so I said, I'm done. I'm done with you people.
Okay.
This is 19... What was Child's Bride of Chucky? 98?
Bride of Chucky's 1998.
98, 99. And I just said, we don't use the word midget. You used it again. Someone... I was done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and, it's is it true? I mean, there's another one coming. I think there's another one apparently in the juice, because they did Curse of Chucky, which came out 2013, which is all right. I quite enjoyed it. But there's another one coming.
Puppet, and that one was sad because, during the Bride of Chucky, the creator Don Mancini came out of the closet, being gay publicly, which is no big deal to me.
Yeah.
And but it seemed like he had to add a gay character in every part of the film.
Yeah.
And Hollywood wasn't ready, and that's why Universal dropped the whole deal, and they had to go with Rogue Pictures, who I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get a box office. So in the Bride of Chucky, the gay teenager got hit by got splattered by the bus.
Yes. Yeah.
Then in the Seed of Chucky, obviously the child of Chucky's son, didn't know if he was going to be Glenn or Glenda.
Yeah.
He had that sexual identity crisis.
Yeah.
Then in the Curse of Chucky, they had the lesbian kiss that went nowhere, came from nowhere.
Yes.
There.
Yeah. I think it felt like it was supposed to be a twist, but it didn't twist anywhere.
Right. And that's because he just, and he just had to have a gay something.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the Cult of Chucky's going to have. I know they only shot 30 days. I know they only, extremely low budget.
Yeah.
And that'll go straight to DVD as well. So.
Yeah.
But I've been retired since 2003. So my last film was The Polar Express, and then my last TV was 2008, 2009, Bones, and My Name is Earl, which I don't know if shows it if you get over there or not.
Yeah, watch them both. Enjoy them both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, brilliant. So you've had a really varied career then. You've done, because the other one I didn't really, I was just flicking through earlier on through your resume, and you played, I'm assuming, one of the station in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yes, if you notice, there were two, and I was the shortest one.
Right.
I mean, no, even among little people, I'm the shortest. It's so
Yeah.
bizarre. Arturo Gil played the other station, and we had a really good time there. Although that was probably the heaviest and one of the most excruciating costumes I had to wear.
I can imagine.
But it's I tell everybody it's the job you love to hate.
Yeah.
And after every film, I call my agent. I'm done. I'll never do this again. And as soon as the phone rings, what do they want? When do they want me? Where do they want me?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be there in a minute. You know?
Yeah.
And so it's you just get so physically exhausted, and it takes its toll. You know.
Well, I think getting on the in the car or truck with your friend all those years ago and going to California, it paid off. I mean, your career seems really varied and impressive, and you sound like you've enjoyed it, and
Oh yes, no, I would. That's one of the reasons I stopped. Is I started because I loved it, and that was a point when they needed little people.
Yeah.
And just by looking at my resume, you know what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And who doesn't want to be needed?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
then by the time I was getting tired of what I call the game,
yeah,
and the BS and everything, about the time I was getting tired of them, they were getting tired of me.
Yeah.
And so everything was computer generated. So the work was falling off anyway. So it was a perfect marriage and a perfect divorce.
Yeah.
And we parted ways. I retired. You don't see little people as Christmas elves anymore. You don't see little people as leprechauns anymore.
No.
It's always a big person shrunk down inside the camera,
Yeah.
CGI, like my last film, Polar Express.
Yes. Yeah.
It was, I did nothing in the film, and I was a pretty big character, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Now it's coming down to where you just need to show up for a day or two, and they'll make an entire film out of you.
Yeah. Like I say, it's that motion capture thing now as well, isn't it?
Yes.
We all know, obviously, Marvel. This one last thing then before we will wrap up in a moment. But Marvel are obviously taking off. Howard cameoed in a way at the end of the last Guardians of the Galaxy film. James Gunn has let his opinion of the first Howard film be known. If, regardless of that...
Yeah, I know. I posted that on my Facebook.
I saw it a few times.
I said, he directed Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever, and he hates the Howard the Duck movie. I just did it for the irony. I didn't do it because...
No. I saw it. I agree. But if Marvel
it's like me. I absolutely hate... Well, I don't like the word hate, but I absolutely dislike horror movies. I do not watch horror movies.
Yeah.
And yet I've done more horror movies than,
it's
not.
one of those,
with, Chucky and Phantasm 2 and Friday the 13th and, just Dolly Dearest, you name it. I've done so many horror films, and I have all these horror fans, and I'm just like, Are you gonna watch the next Saw?
Yeah.
God, no, I didn't watch the first one.
It's the genre that persists. I'm telling you.
Mother died.
That's it. It's the genre that persists. It never. They've got some big, passionate fans in that genre. But if they were to do a Howard the Duck film, would you be up for a cameo?
No.
No.
I have restrictive lung disease, and I'm on oxygen all the time, and I'm on a lot of medication, 16 pills a day, and they caused me to gain a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And so Howard would have to be in a nursing home.
Oh.
And, or in a wheelchair, and I could probably do it, but, I think it would be funny.
Yeah.
If I, as myself, as Ed Gale.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'd love to see that. Stan Lee
was in the background.
That's it. Maybe Stan Lee wheeling you across in a wheelchair.
Yes, and just being in a set, being in one of the scenes for no reason.
That's it.
And then Howard walks by and say, what's a midget doing here or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, fuck you. Last time we did this movie, they used a real duck, okay?
Yeah.
Or just something where the only people who would know are the people who know.
Yes. No,
it
that
would be
great.
fun.
That would be really good fun.
In this country, I don't know about the UK, but I'm on disability, which is a government program for those who cannot work.
Yes.
So therefore,
the same thing. Yeah.
So if I did the cameo, they're like, you can work.
Yeah. Okay.
And they would take my benefits away. So.
Okay.
I'm 54 years old. It's a kid's game. It's a younger people's game to do the physical costumes and such.
That's it. And I think everything you've done, you've earned that retirement most definitely.
Thank you. I hope I did.
No, it's brilliant, and thank you for taking the time out on your Sunday. So, really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. What time is it for you?
Just coming up to 7:45 in the evening.
Oh, not bad. Okay.
Nah, no, it's not too bad at all. Not too bad at all.
Noon here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not bad. 8 p.m. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. So, Ed, it's been fantastic. Thank you very much. Have a great Sunday afternoon. And
thank you, and I hope all your fans over there, your show grows. It's a wonderful show you've got.
Thank you.
And send them over to my Facebook, and I do a video every Sunday.
I will do. I'll send them your way. And if you get a chance to email Tim Rose, I will definitely try and reach out to him.
Do that and send me another email to remind me.
I will do.
Part of the oxygen deprivation is horrible memory now.
Okay.
And I will hang up this phone and forget it.
Okay, I will drop you a mail soon.
I'll forget your name.
Yeah.
I still want to call you Clifford, but never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, kiddo. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. So you can see what a really, really nice guy Ed is. And please do track him down on Facebook, Facebook/Ed Gale. He does do a video every Sunday and posts a lot of stuff on there, so it's really worth giving it a visit. If you want to reach out to me as well, I'm on Facebook, Facebook/20th Century Geek. I'm also on Twitter, at 20th Century Geek. If you really want to, go on and really tell me how you feel about things, which I really want people to do, please reach out to me. Email me at 20thcenturygeek@gmail.com. Of course, I'm on Tumblr and Instagram and all the others as well, so please try and find me on there. I hope you've enjoyed this bonus feature. This was a fantastic opportunity for me. I really enjoyed it, and I will be reaching out to Tim Rose at some point soon. So I'm hoping to have another bonus feature with him. Thank you very much, guys. And in the next show, Mad Mike Kennedy is back, and the pair of us take on the 80s cult classic Masters of the Universe. An oiled up Dolph Lundgren wielding a sword and a young Courtney Cox at his side. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be great. There may be drinking involved. I hope you join us. Thanks very much.